Welcome back, hackers. In this video, we're going to get our hands dirty with creating graphics and messing with JSON. If you haven't had the chance, check out my first video on theme setup to catch up where we are now. Before we start making new graphics, let's shore up where we left everything in the last video. We only really need to fix what is going on with the checkmark PNG, because there are two check marks named the same when we copied them over to the assets folder. We need to sort this out with the file names and JSON. Let's head to the assets folder to find the checkmark (2.png). Let's rename the second checkmark to check2.png. Let's take a look at what's happening in the theme right now and why we are going to go through the trouble of changing this. If we go into the settings and try to change the theme, it will pop up a confirmation dialog box, as you can see. It currently shows a small check mark. This isn't the only place where this is going to be happening in the JSON files right now. So to help us out, I created a PowerShell script called Zombie PNG Finder. When we double click it, we see that it is asking for the PNG file we want to search for. In this case, we do actually want to search for the check.png in the example. Once I hit enter, the script looks through every JSON file in the folder and looks for any instance where check.png is used. It shows which file it is in and the path, and also what line within that file it is at to make it easy to find. As you can see, we have quite a few files where check.png shows up. The way I know which files are which and worth changing to the large checkmark is by taking a look at the positioning. I found that the 16:9 positioning is the small checkmark. So let's only worry about the ones that we need the check2.png. The first one we will take a look at is the confirmation dialog.json. And it looks like there are two places where we need to change the check2.png. Let's go to Components, Dialogs, and open the confirmation dialog in Notepad++. Double checking the line number real quick, we are looking for the line 34 and 38. Going down, we find it and change it to check2.png. Also, we'll change it on the spot at line 38. Save it, and let's head to the next file and change it to check2.png as well. Next, we'll modify the checkmark in the UI option dialog.json. Since you know which files you need to edit, you can use the replace feature in Notepad++. We are changing check.png to check2.png and can hit next and replace to quickly change these in the files. At this point, it is just rinse and repeat, so after this is done, we can load the script back up and check to make sure that we are all set. We see that we have fixed all of them. If you miss one, this is a great way to find out. Let's reload our theme using the desktop shortcut. After it is loaded, let's take a look at the confirmation dialog again by going to the settings and choosing theme. You'll see that all the check marks are now fixed and working. At this point, we have a perfectly clean and fixed Wargames theme. You should definitely make a copy of this theme if you have been working off the pager and save it to your desktop in the Hak5 themes folder. Whenever you start a new theme, you could always start with this one. Now that we have that out of the way, it's time to create some graphics for our new theme. Head over to Photoshop and create a new composition. The size I want to start at is 4800 by 2220 pixels. You'll see why I chose this later, but I always want to work in a higher resolution in case I need to do other things with the files later. Now that we have the composition, let's head down to Generate Image at the bottom of the toolbox. This is Photoshop's built-in AI tool for generating images, but feel free to use ChatGPT, Grok, Midjourney, ZImage, etc. Whatever you want to use. In the prompt, let's try inside alien spaceship with lots of screens and one very large screen in the center. For the content type, choose photo and then hit generate. It usually takes about 30 seconds to get some images. This one turned out okay, but if you go over to the right, it always makes 3 images each time. I like this one better. It has like 6 screens and would look great for the buttons. Let's resize the image to make it a better composition and make the screens on the left larger. Next, we'll go to the image size and reduce the image down to 480 by 222, which is the pager's resolution. Let's save a copy of the image as a PNG file and overwrite the current wargames_bg.png. This will change our main background. Choose the smallest file size in the PNG format options box. It's time to reload the theme again. After refreshing the page and logging back in, we get to see our new background on the pager. But we still have the wargames buttons. So let's go into the wargames_dashboard.json file to clean up the JSON to remove these buttons because we want to make our own. All you need to do is clear out the layers and selected layers for each button for now. We are going to start with a clean slate. I'm going to speed this process up as it's just rinse and repeat, but be sure to save your file on the pager once you are done. Let's reload the theme again. Told you we're going to do this a crap ton. Once it reloads, we see all of the buttons are gone. They still work, but there just isn't any image to represent the buttons right now. I'm going to go to undo the file in Photoshop so that I can get back to my nice resolution. Next, I'm going to grab the polygonal lasso tool so I can trace around each of these screens. This first one will be the war driving screen. I'll use the eyedropper tool to select a color for the screen so it matches what is already there. I'm going to go down to the right and click on Create New Layer button. Then, using the paint bucket tool, I'm going to fill in my selection on that layer. Now that we have one down, we have about 5 more to go. And I'm just going to repeat this process. Make a new layer, use the polygonal lasso tool to outline the screen, fill it, and move on to the next. So let's speed this up in the video. If you make a mistake or need to adjust anything, you can just choose the layer that you need to fix, make another selection, and fill it. For the sake of my own sanity, I like to name layers as I go along so that I don't lose track which layer is which. Also, since we are going to have multiple graphics for each screen, let's put everything in its own folders. You can name each folder and then drag each of the screens into each of the folders. I'm going to speed this up in the video. Now that we are more organized, it is time to make the button text. I'm going to choose a color with the eyedropper tool and then choose the text tool. I already have a font selected that I kind of like. Let's change the font size to something larger since the pager screen is pretty small. I think 175 points should work. Double clicking on the text layer, let's go into the layer style and add a white stroke to the letters. You can do whatever you want to make the text look good and pop out. I'm also going to add an outer glow to the letters. This teal is a bit much, so I'm going to change it to a more darker blue. Then make the stroke stronger. Once I'm done, I'm going to duplicate the text layer and just change the words to my next button, which is alerts. Rinse and repeat at this point. Just keep dragging the text layer you want to copy down to the Create New Layer button. I'm going to speed up the video to finish the rest. I'm not worried about their placement right now. Let's just stay organized and put each text layer where it goes in the folders. Now we can hide the other layers by pressing the eyeballs to the left and only show the war driving one we want to work on first. It is down below, so drag it into place. Next, I'm going to rotate it a bit and then go into the menu and choose Transform Perspective. This is going to allow me to give the text a slight perspective so it matches the screens better. Each text layer needs the same adjustments. A tip for this type of effect is to scale the text that is further away down. You can also use the arrow keys to adjust the positioning for more precision. Let's speed up the video a bit. Now that we have all the text in place, we are ready to work on the selected button highlights. But before we do, let's adjust each of the text layers and turn them into smart objects by going down to each layer on the right and right-clicking on each and choosing Convert to Smart Object. This will help us in our next step because we're going to scale the whole image down to 480 by 222. And we want to make sure that our layer effects also scale down correctly. And save it as our new background on the pager. Then I'm going to undo the image size so that I'm back at my full resolution image. Next, I'm going to work on the highlights for the buttons now. Going down to the right on the layers, I'm going to choose the first war driving text, right click on it, and choose Edit Contents. This is going to let me mess with the letters without affecting anything else. What I want to do is make the text pure white as the highlight. So to do this, I can just double click on the text layer and choose Color Overlay. Change the color to white, and I'm all set. I'll go up to File and save this version of the text, and then close it. I'll do the same for the rest of the text, edit the contents, add a color overlay, change it to white, and save it, rinse and repeat. Time to speed up the video again. After doing all of this, it is time to save the main Photoshop file. That way, if things get messed up, I have a good version to come back to. After saving, let's resize everything down to 480 by 222 and get ready to export each of the screens. Hide the background and other layers that we don't need. and make a selection box around the war driving screen. Next, go to Image on the menu and choose Crop. This makes the image the smallest we can get it without having too many wasted pixels. We're going to save a copy and name it wardriving_screen.png. Save as the smallest file size and click OK. I'm going to undo the last step and choose the next one to save, which is Alerts, and repeat this process until I have all the selected layer highlight images saved. This is what they should look like once they're all saved. Each one has a transparent background and one image per text. Here's where the fun begins. We've made it a bit harder for the main dashboard where the images now need to be placed precisely using X and Y coordinates. How I did this before is by guessing until I got the numbers right, or by using the info window in Photoshop. Instead of doing this, I decided to make a web page to help everybody out. It's called zombiepngplacer.html. You can download it from my GitHub in the theme setup files folder, along with the rest of the scripts I've used in these videos. Let's check it out. This is the Zombie PNG Placer. It is a dashboard layer placement tool that helps create themes for the Hak5 Wifi Pineapple Pager. There is a preview screen, a button to load your background image, and you can add as many overlay PNGs as you need to. And it will also create properly formatted JSON for you to copy into your dashboard files. I even added color selection buttons at the bottom so that you can change the color of the tool to match whatever theme you're working on. I'm just going to choose cyan color right now. And let's load the background image we created earlier. Next, I'm going to add the selected layer highlight images as overlays. Once you add an image, you can drag it around and get it close to where you want it. Then you can use the arrow keys for the finer movements. If you don't want one of your overlay images, you can just click on it and backspace to delete it. What you will notice is that as I add overlay images and place them, they're being added to the terminal window at the bottom in JSON with the coordinates. This makes it super easy to do more complex dashboards, and you aren't guessing where they should go. Let's take a look at how to use the JSON. I'm going to add this alerts screen image first and come back to the war driving one. Copy it, go into the wargames dashboard.json, and go into the alerts menu item. In the selected layers between the brackets, paste the line for the alerts screen. In JSON, remember that your last line in a list doesn't need a comma. Make sure that you keep an eye on commas or the theme will fail to load because you miss one comma. I'm going to speed up the video a bit to get the rest of these added. Once done, let's reload the theme again. And there we go. When you press the buttons, it will switch between the different selected layers and each of them will work with their dashboards. The last thing we'll do before ending this video is I'll show you how to add the war driving selected layer. Head into the wargames dashboard again. And I'm going to copy the alerts menu item and paste it above it. Then change where it says alerts to war driving. I'm also going to change the image name. And the coordinates for this one was 0, 0. Also change it to target the wardriving_dashboard. We'll make this dashboard functional in the next video. For now, let's reload the theme again, and we now have all of the buttons working. If you choose the war driving one, it'll just throw an error just because we haven't set it up yet. Thanks everybody for making it through this video. I hope this is helping show my process a bit when designing themes, and I'll catch you in the next one.